pots are very simple devices. They come with a pesticide, a fungus, and an odor tablet inside of them. We got to fill them up with water first. Fill them up to about this portion near this little edge in the rim. And then we're good. So, mosquito pots are very simple devices. They have these little holes on the interior. If you fill it up too much, they'll drain that way so that it doesn't get too full. Then on the top, we put these little funnels. They act as a good catch for rainwater while also shielding it from the sun. What we want the mosquitoes to do is go inside of them. They'll go inside of them, breed, lay their eggs in the water, and then they're going to land on a small mesh that we put around this floater. And when they do that, they're exposed to the insecticide inside of it called pyriproxyfen. It's a hormone replacement. It causes them to develop odd. Basically, they don't go through their hormone cycles as easily, and then they die in about 8 days. They lose the ability to bite and then slowly die. And that's just going to be for biting mosquitoes, which are female mosquitoes. We'll go ahead and go through the process of showing you this. I shake it first to make sure everything collects near the bottom. That way I can pull out this mesh without having to worry about it. You'll see that there's a powder on the inside, and then there are 2 odor tablets to fall out. That powder we drop on the surface of the water is going to be the fungus. What happens is the mosquito larvae eat that fungus, and when they do so, slowly as they grow up, they don't get to transition to their adult stage and they die from it, which is exactly what we want. Then there are 2 small odor tablets in the water. That's comprised of yeast and a few other ingredients, but basically it's supposed to help give off the aroma of stagnant water to attract mosquitoes to breed on the inside. What the mosquitoes will do when they breed on the inside is lay their eggs, touch this mesh, get exposed to pyriproxyfen, then hopefully go to other water sources, expose other mosquitoes that they mate with to this same insecticide, and spread it among themselves and hopefully die from it. So it's as simple as that. These each have roughly a 40-foot effective radius, or I think it's 15 yards. They do a good job at dealing with stagnant sources of water, which is going to be things like gutters that haven't been properly cleaned, ill-maintained pools, just the alleys between houses where water tends to fill up near foundations, and various other things, mulch piles, etc., that are good at retaining water. This does a good job of attracting mosquitoes in the area to them so that they breed in there and you don't get that second generation of mosquitoes. Now, mosquitoes can travel a good long distance, roughly, I believe around 2 or 3 miles, maybe up to 8 miles in their full lifetimes. They can live, female mosquitoes can live anywhere from, I believe, 2 to 8 months most of the time. And because of that, we really need to focus on getting rid of those female mosquitoes so the males don't even get the chance to populate. Now, when assessing where we want to put them, we think about other mitigating factors like what's going on in the neighbor's yard, what's going on in the yard itself, and we try and assess where there's most likely going to be stagnant sources of water so that we can hopefully get all the mosquitoes that are going to breed in those areas to come here and breed in here as well. So when we look at the neighbor's yard, which you can't see, we see a lot of mulch piles, a lot of gardening equipment, a lot of piles of dirt, things that are going to retain water relatively easily. Now, if it's well maintained, it might not be an issue, but in general, I'm going to assume that people aren't perfect, and this is going to be a good way to help deal with the mosquitoes coming from there. That's why we're going to put this mosquito pot here. Another reason, or another factor in placing mosquito pots is contemplating what structures are around. So we've got a concrete foundation on this house, but in this corner of the yard, we see that not only do we have a lot of mulch, but we have 2 structures here, both near trees. Now, when it comes to sheds like this, they typically don't have concrete foundations. They're just built on pier and beam structures, which means that they're raised up off the ground a little bit, or it's just a dirt floor underneath. Makes it very easy for stagnant water, leaf fall, etc. to gather up, around, and underneath there. So that's going to be a strong factor in placing the mosquito pot here. We also see, if we look up here, that there are a ton of trees. They've all dropped their leaves, but soon they're going to grow them back and then keep dropping them over the summertime. And we're at this intersection near a fence corner where things are typically not as well maintained. It's not the part that people see, so they don't really look at it or take care of it, which is why we're going to put this mosquito pot in this corner. Now, one factor that doesn't matter as much, but is a common point of concern, is pools. Most of the time pools are chlorinated, which means that you're not going to have to worry about them spreading mosquitoes nearly as much. You could worry about runoff water from pool equipment leaking possibly, but generally a well-maintained pool isn't going to be that big of a problem most of the time. The real thing to consider is going to be things like gutters, which if they're not covered up, they can become full of leaf fall and then retain water that way. And then we also need to worry about these alleys between houses where water could possibly retain after a strong rainfall, because it's so well shaded, two houses right next to each other, and we've got the fence post here. Most of the time, these are going to be bigger issues. With that being said, I think these structures are more important, so we're aiming for a reduction in mosquitoes, not an absolute total wipeout of them with these pots, because they do depend on the mosquitoes going through their breeding cycle to work. That means that we're looking for around 40 to 60% reduction, and that's going to reduce the number of bites you feel by a lot, just because we're killing all the female mosquitoes. Those are the only ones that seek out people. When they're pregnant, they bite you so that they can use your blood to help produce little mosquito larvae, which is gross. And thankfully, that's exactly what we're targeting with these guys. So you should see a significant reduction. They're not absolutely perfect. There are mitigating factors. A lot of people are concerned, well, what if none of my neighbors do anything to help? And in that case, a lot of the time, you're going to want to always apply bug spray. If you are willing to do it, wear long sleeves, long pants, and possibly get a mosquito spray in the area to kill all the adult mosquitoes so that you get a quick kill off. And then these help deal with the remaining mosquitoes who are trying to breed up again and fill the local area's population again. They aren't 100% perfect, but they do a really good job. They're relatively environmentally friendly. They're not very dangerous. A lot of people have concerns about chemicals being sprayed at a high saturation in their yard or in their areas. And these are a great way to help control the mosquito population in the area without necessarily having to use such harsh chemicals or spread them everywhere and possibly affect other insect populations like bees and etc., which also has knock-on effect for birds and so forth. These are great at specifically targeting mosquitoes, reducing their numbers, and reducing the amount that you have to experience at the end of the day.